SM Entertainment and aespa themselves have emphasized that Supernova and the Armageddon album began a quote new season of aespa's concept, one that is concerned with parallelism. Giselle specifically explains the concept of parallel lines, which is also the name of their current tour, as two existences that happen at the same time. Most of the understandings I come to in this video are inspired by the text and articles of information included in the physical versions of the Armageddon album, notably the zine album versions, which in likeness to the My World magazine style albums, relay a lot of information throughout the album's photo books. Starting with the pre-release to the album, Supernova accomplishes two main narrative goals, introducing the Superbeing and alluding to the upcoming Armageddon. Superbeings are the converging of the real members of aespa with versions of themselves from another existence. It was not specified during the Armageddon era for some reason, but it is now beyond a reasonable doubt upon the release of Whiplash that the beings who converge with them are the I members, or some kind of AI-related entity. I believe this for a couple of reasons. One, Supernova makes lyrical reference to opening the door that ushers in this other being who resembles them. The first act of aespa's storyline made similar references to opening the door to Kwangya, specifically in Next Level. And as I said, we're given context upon the release of Whiplash that the I members are still very much in play in this story. They get their own teasers, but oddly, are not immediately present in the Whiplash music video. I don't think that's for no reason anymore. A lot of people speculated that the members of aespa in the Whiplash music video are the I members. I didn't buy into this at first, but now, in retrospect, of course that's what's going on. Supernova and Armageddon work to outline this. So let's rewind back to Supernova. This converging of two existences, combining of two identities, was gradual and surprising. aespa outlines in Supernova that questions keep coming up, notably, where did we come from? From this perspective, it seems as though aespa are aware that another being has inhabited them in some capacity, identifies it as ultimately them from another existence, and wants to know where they came from. Supernova as a song becomes even more narratively interesting when you look at it from the perspective of aespa vying for control over themselves. They are able to allude to the fact that Armageddon is coming in the future. They suddenly now know something is coming as the beings from another existence act as heralds of what's about to happen. Quote, "The event is approaching" is part of the main refrain of this song, and of course, the event in question is what ultimately becomes Armageddon. But what caused all of this? Why are worlds converging? Who and what are these unknowable beings that inhabit the bodies of the members of aespa? The strange phenomenon we saw from the My World album seems to have spiraled wildly out of control into what is the Armageddon, the disastrous colliding of worlds and existences to bring about a new one. The strange phenomenon happened as a result of Naevis entering the real world. Naevis made that decision for herself after betraying the cosmological order by helping aespa defeat the Black Mamba in Kwangya. So trying to put all of this together somewhat simply, Naevis is born into the real world, unexplainable strange phenomena start happening all over the world as a result of that, which sets in motion a chain of events that causes Armageddon. I speculated about this a while ago. I truly think Kwangya has bled itself into the real world, and the I members have assumed the identity of aespa themselves in this converging of worlds, creating a super being. Both Supernova and Armageddon allude to this idea via the use of AI capture imagery. Giselle being prompted to prove she's not AI on her phone, the tracking images in the Armageddon music video. As time goes on, it becomes harder to distinguish the members of aespa as, quote, not AI, as the two existences merge together. Whatever inhabits the mind and body of aespa is made up of or influenced by AI to some extent. By the time of Supernova, aespa have already begun to merge with the parallel versions of themselves, obtaining powers that are somewhat idiosyncratic to the abilities of their respective I members. For some reason, the members of aespa aren't able to identify or suggest that these beings could be the I members. Maybe they don't resemble the I members from before, or the connection feels somehow different this time. Nevertheless, and to further support the idea that these beings are the I members, Karina specifically seems to paint the best picture. The super being version of her in Supernova is revealed to be a self-obsessed vampire with super strength. Her strength of course ties into the abilities of Karina as the rocket puncher, but the subtext of Karina being an overly vain vampire to me alludes to the storyline that Karina and her I member went through together in the SM Culture Universe episodes. When reconciling with how her I is essentially a perfect version of herself, Karina experiences a moment of contemplation about deleting her I member. This moment in particular sets in motion a chain of events that leads the Black Mamba towards trying to sever the connection the real world has with Kwangya for good. It gave the Black Mamba justification that humans can possess a hatred or envy towards sentient technology. So it's interesting to me that the super being version of Karina is a self-obsessed vampire, something that can never age and never die, tying into the theme surrounding the plot of the first act of this story. As time goes on, and especially with the advent of Whiplash, I think all of what happened during Armageddon alludes to the idea that the combining of worlds was Kwangya in the real world to some capacity, but the landscape and atmosphere we're introduced to with Armageddon is nothing short of terrifying. Is this an AI-generated Armageddon? spurred by the convergence of Kwangya into the real world, or is what we see perhaps what Kwangya has always been? What Armageddon seems to be is the inverse and permanent version of SYNK, a more permanent parallel line or sharing of existences. This is currently the threshold we're at in this new season of aespa's storytelling. To recap, it is inferable that the members of aespa who present us Whiplash are these super beings, individuals who carry multiple existences within them, and yet the I version of themselves has somehow assumed dominance. Armageddon is the converging of worlds, and while the details as to what all that entails are yet to be revealed, we are steadily receiving more pieces of the story to put together. All of these ideas fit quite well with SM and aespa's sentiments about parallel lines, two existences that happen at the same time. It's also likely that we'll expand beyond Kwangya, or that we already have. Armageddon repeatedly refers to the converging of multiple existences, some of them previously unknown. As for whether or not Kwangya is the cause for this in the first place, we'll need to wait and find out. Perhaps these AI entities that have merged with aespa are not the same as before. Maybe in different dimensions there exists other virtual dimensions, other versions of Kwangya. So, shifting into speculation about where I think this story is going, the I members, as they seek to represent the place of artificial intelligence with humanity, initially presents itself as friendly, essentially something that behaves intelligently as another human that only exists to serve you, but as it gains more sentience and autonomy, it develops the ability and perhaps want to hide things from you. My throwing a dagger into the dark theory is that Armageddon, Kwangya's consumption of the real world, has always been a part of the plan. aespa has been overtaken by the I members, explaining why we don't see the I members in the Whiplash music video. aespa are now the I members who have won this interdimensional battle for the time being. In future story developments, I suspect there will continue to be a struggle between the real-world version of aespa, eager to break free from the confines of their own psyche. As for what the larger story this tells about the use of AI and its place with humanity, it's starting to develop a kind of anti-AI position, which is uncharacteristic of SM entertainment at this time, so I'll definitely be interested to see if it really goes down this kind of path. But yeah, this is all that I have for right now. Thank you for watching this. Let me know what you think, if you see the outcomes of these story beats in different ways, and so on. Where do you think this story is going? Thanks again for watching, subscribe if you want to, and I will see you next time.